Hello everybody, I'm Dustin Benzel and welcome to another Pokemon XY discussion. Today, this mini discussion will be regarding Ash's Fletchinder. Now, 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 when 6th Gen was being first revealed, we saw Fennekin, Froakie, and Chespin, and we were just eagerly waiting for the new Pokemon to be revealed. I don't know in what order Fletchling actually appeared in the anime, or not in the anime, in the revelation of the Pokemon that actually appeared. That were like in Koro magazine, the magazine that usually reveals new Pokemon to us. But Fletchling showed along Helioptile, Pancham, and Gogoat. Now, the thing about Fletchling is because it was a bird Pokemon, we all expected Ash to get Fletchling. The only possible reason we had any doubts was because in the preview for the XY anime, we saw Serena, and we saw Serena with like a Fletchling. However, as it turns out, that particular Fletchling belongs to Serena's mother, which is Grace. So that let the door open for Ash having Fletchling, as well as realizing that Ash also that Fletchling also evolves into a fire flying Pokemon, which is very unique for a regional bird. Now, if you're like a lot of Pokemon fans out there, you kind of tend to create your own Pokemon. You create your own region with your own Pokemon, and I'm guilty of that. And one of the things that I really wanted was a very powerful bird Pokemon that you get in early things. I mean, it would take a while for it to fully evolve and be that strong, but it was like a dragon-like bird Pokemon. Well, it wasn't dragon-based, but I mean, it's like one of those dragon Pokemon, like the legendary, pseudo-legendary Pokemon, and yeah, it would be caught early in the game, except that its evolution conditions would be so long before you could actually evolve it technically. It's something like that. And what I envisioned for a regional bird was always a fire flying. Now I realize fire flying is a horrible typing, because of rock types, and rock types just wreck fire flying Pokemon to no end for whatever reason. Not sure why I agree with that, but whatever. Now, the thing about Fletchling, Fletchinder, and Talonflame is that my idea of a fire-flying regional bird Pokemon was more based off of a phoenix. It was the reason why I wanted it all to be fire-flying in my particular regional is because it was one of the few fire types that you can get early, because there hasn't been a lot of fire Pokemon that you can catch early. It's mostly been just grass and water, and fire has been overlooked for the most part, except in 4th generation, and that's only because they put Ponyta near Orberg City. Is it Rourke? Rourke. I believe it's Rourke. 4th gen Rourke. Um, So that was like the only exception, because and there's like hasn't been really much of any other option. And that's because fire types haven't been, well, I guess 5th gen and 6th gen do have Panseer, but those are kind of like the starter substitutions. Anyway, I'm babbling on too much. So it was really cool to see that the Game Freak actually decided to create a fire flying regional bird Pokemon, because it was so unique and so different that I think everyone is getting tired of a normal flying Pokemon, regardless of what it can use, because normal flying is just so been used so many times that having a bird Pokemon with a different typing would be fresher and more appealing to Pokemon fans like me. Which is why Fletchling being caught by Ash was pretty amazing. It was only when Halucha was revealed that I realized that Halucha fit Ash so much more, then Fletchinder and Talonflame that it was hard for me to say goodbye to Hawlucha. I mean, I did for the sake of Fletchinder, Talonflame being Fire Flying, which would allow Ash an open slot for something else. But what I didn't expect was the writers to give Ash both Fletchinder and Hawlucha. So, what can I say about Fletchinder, Talonflame? Well, the weird thing is that whenever Ash gets a weird fire type, or whatever, well, no, not, never mind. Ash's Fletchinder, let's talk about Ash's Fletchinder's, moveset. It has a really nice moveset, although I really wish it didn't have the peck thing. The peck thing kind of annoys me. I'm gonna have to look here real quick for, what other flying moves it can learn, but I'm pretty sure it can learn like acrobatics and sky attack. So those are definitely, but the thing is, Ash's Fletchinder has a pretty okay, nice moveset. It has Peck, it has Razor Wind, it has Steel Wing, and it has Flame Charge. Now the only one that's off about that is Peck. Now as for Flame Charge, that's okay. I would have preferred Fletchinder actually having more of a ranged fire move, because that would be much more epic, kind of like how what is it, Moira's Talonflame had Flame Blast or Fire Blast. So yeah, but let's look at its moves real quick. When it started, it had Double Team, Peck, Razor Wind, and Steel Wing. Now those are really nice moves for various reasons. One, well, except Peck. One, and Double Team. But let's talk about Razor Wind and Steel Wing. Now, those are very unique moves. And the thing about Razor Wind, and I'm a little disappointed that they didn't change that to a flying type move. And it doesn't make any sense, because anything wind related, Razor Wind, should have been turned into a flying type. And I don't know why they kept it a normal type, because Razor Wind would be an ordinarily okay move in the anime anyway for a decent flying attack, but it's not. Now, the reason why I like Razor Wind so much for Fletchinder and Fletchling was because this is the first Pokemon that Ash has ever had that particular move. And Steel Wing is just unique in its way, because the only other Pokemon that had Steel Wing prior to Fletchinder was Ash's Gligar and Gliscor, I think, as well as Ash's Charizard. None of Ash's other flying types have ever had Steel Wing, and if there's a non-flying type that can learn Steel Wing that Ash has, it doesn't know it. Now, Steel Wing is even more unique because they're giving it to a fire flying Pokemon, which is interesting because fire is super effective against steel. But then I realized that Steel Wing may actually have a purpose, and I think it's because Fletchinder, or even Talonflame, I don't know what it's going to be at this particular time and place, but I think Fletchinder is almost guaranteed to be used against Valerie. And it makes so much sense, because Valerie is a fairy type trainer, and we have a Pokemon that not only resists fairy types, we have a Pokemon that actually has a steel type attack that does super effective damage. Now, if Fletchinder is battling Mawile, that won't necessarily be the case, because it'll only do neutral damage, since steel types, I believe, resist steel types. Yeah. Steel types resist. Wait, hold on. That's 66. Okay. Steel types resist steel type moves. So, Mawile will be a problem. But the thing is with Mawile is, if Fletchinder is used against Mawile, then Mawile or Fletchinder has Flame Charge, which is a very unique, interesting attack. Now, the problem that I have with it is that the problem I have with Flame Charge is that Fletchinder is a fire type, and I realized that Fletchinder doesn't exactly have the greatest move pool for a fire type Pokemon, at least in compared to like Fennekin or even what's the other fire type? There's another one. And then there's Litleo or even Pyroar, and the only difference in move set that it has in comparison to Fletchinder and Talonflame is the fact that it can learn Fire Fang. It can learn everything else, and there may be some differences, but it's pretty much identical. So, yeah, Fletchinder didn't exactly get the best move pool that it possibly ever could have. So, I would have preferred it have Fire Blast or even Incinerate. Let's see. It can learn Flamethrower, it can learn Fire Blast, it can learn Incinerate, can even learn Heat Wave and Tutoring, so there were quite a few better options that I would have preferred. The only reason why I don't like Flame Charge too much is because it's identical for the most part to Ash's Tepig and Pignite. And that's a little disappointing because you would have thought that for Ash having a fire flying bird Pokemon, that, they would have given it at least something better. The good news is that when Fletchinder likely evolves into Talonflame, it does learn a new move, and that's Flare Blitz. So maybe it'll have Flare Blitz. Now, I won't have a problem with that so much as Flame Charge because it'll be a lot stronger than Flame Charge, and even though Talonflame will lose its speed, but the only other Pokemon that has Flare Blitz that Ash has is Infernape, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not like that there's a whole bunch of fire types, but the thing that's disappointing is that it doesn't have that ranged fire attack move that I would have liked. I would have even accepted Flamethrower because having a bird Pokemon that's fire type breathing fire would just be plain epic. I mean, can you imagine a bird just breathing fire? So yeah, it's very unique attack and of that nature. So now, as for Fletchinder's development, as we get away from its moves, as for its development, the thing that I'm a little disappointed about Fletchinder is that it's not exactly being used very much, and I don't know why the writers have a serious problem giving Ash's bird Pokemon actual personalities that they can express this in a particular episode where Ash's Pokemon. Right now, Fletchinder really doesn't have much of a personality. The only personality traits that we ever saw of Fletchinder was in the evolution episode when, after beating Moira's Talonflame, it happily landed on Ash's arm. And that was pretty much it. But we saw Fletchling, and we saw Fletchling having a personality, even within that same episode when Fletchling was upset about not being allowed to battle Talonflame, and Talonflame choosing Hawlucha over little baby Fletchling. So I'm a little disappointed that Fletchinder isn't getting a lot. I mean, it is getting quite a few stuff, but right now it's just basically a battle Pokemon, and I want to see Fletchinder being used more. It's a part of the team, and the writers have no excuse to throw Frogadier, Hawlucha, Goodra, or whatever Ash's 6 Pokemon will be in our face constantly, and yet Fletchinder / Talonflame gets screwed over. So I really, really hope that Fletchinder or even Talonflame get shown up more and they do more, and I hope that, like Hawlucha, like Frogadier, like Goomy, that Fletchinder and Talonflame in the future will get some decent screen time focus episodes revolving around that. At this particular point, I kind of feared that Fletchinder's evolution into Talonflame is going to be tacked on similarly to P-Dove evolving into Tranquil. Maybe not. We'll see. Especially since we don't know of anything. So, right now, Fletchinder is basically confirmed to battle against Ramos. It's battling both Jump Bluff and Weeping Bell. Based on the fact that Fletchinder and Jump Bluff is the first battle, we can assume for the fact that Fletchinder is at least beating a Jump Bluff, which is really nice, because that's kind of nice. Sorry. And if it's going to be used against Valerie, it might get a win there. And I'm thinking if Talonflame shows up against Wolfric, that is going to be a battle against Bombasnow. That's it for Fletchinder for now. Like I might do a update in like 6 months if something new happens with them, or Talonflame gets revealed. Maybe after Talonflame, I'll do another one. And of that nature. So this covers Ash's Fletchinder. Thank you for watching this. I will see you in my next video, and goodbye.